you so much, everyone, for joining us this afternoon for August session within our Career Toolkit series. Today, we are covering the topic of building your confidence from student to professional. So today will really be a really great conversation about how to build up your confidence and how to kind of take on the world. So before we start, we're going to kick off with a quick acknowledgement of country. So in the spirit of reconciliation, we would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians on the lands on which we gather from today and their connections to land, sea, and community. I'm joining you today from Meejin, the land of the Turrbal and Yagara peoples. We pay our respects to elders past and present and emerging, and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples today. So my name's Alana. I am the Partner Success Manager at the Australian Computer Society. I've been with ACS now for nearly 5 years, which is kind of crazy. But I am part of our student supportive membership team. So we've also got Jasmine on the call. She is our student engagement coordinator. And together we make up our student supported membership team. When we reference that team, the idea is we're here to help you with anything membership, recruitment, supporting you throughout your career. So if you've got questions about ACS, feel free to reach out to Jasmine or myself at any point. We're always happy to help. So we're going to kick off with a little bit of housekeeping. So please note your microphone and camera have been disabled for this presentation for privacy reasons. This session is being recorded and will be made available in the future on our private YouTube channel, and you will be notified by Jasmine once that's available. So please bear with us. We apologize you can't come off mute for this one. So please use the Q&A function to ask any questions throughout the session, and I'll ask them during the Q&A section of the event. If you're unable to access the Q&A function, welcome to use our chat function, and Jasmine will pop them into the Q&A bit. So please don't think we've forgotten those ones. If you do have any questions that weren't answered during this session, feel free to email us at acsstudent@acs.org.au, and we'll get back to you as well with those ones. Now, please note a post-event email will be circulated after the event. Just give us a few days' time and we'll pop that one out. It'll include a lot of upcoming events and contact details for our wonderful speakers and more. So keep an eye out for that one. And your CPD points will be allocated within the next 2 weeks. So do keep an eye out for that one. And we appreciate your patience as well. So I'd like to introduce our amazing 2 speakers tonight. So we've got Jeff. So Jeff is the Education and Government Solutions owner at the Queensland Computers, and also chair of our ACS Queensland Bundaberg chapter. What I really value from Jeff is probably like I don't know if he knows it, but it's kind of like my mentor. I probably learned the most about how to be confident and how to, hold space in the industry. And I probably learnt the most ever from Jeff. So thank you, Jeff, so much for being part of this discussion. We also have the lovely Nathumi. So Nathumi is an event organizer. She kicked off the WinTech group at CQ, and she's also a student ambassador at CQ as well. Nathumi I've met, I think, over a year ago now. And what I love is watching her journey from, when we first met, we were very quiet and introverted. And over the time now, she's really come out of her shell. We held an event the other day at CQ, and she was, I didn't really need to be there. She was doing all the work for me. So it's really wonderful to see her journey. So thank you both so much for being part of today's session. I'll kick it off by Jeff. Could you tell us a little bit about your career and your journey to date?
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it. And obviously, as mentioned, if there's things you want to chuck in the chat, please do so. Very comfortable addressing even the scariest, hairiest problems you might have there. So throw it at me. I guess the quick summary, I've been doing this for about 20 years. And you said it was scary that you've been at ACS, Alana. 20 years this December for me. So I left high school, 18 years old, decided to start up a computer shop. That computer shop, we sort of fought for a number of years just to get it to break even, probably 4 or 5 years. And then over those years, we've transformed into what we're doing now. So what I do, we've got a company with about 50 staff located throughout regional Queensland. Those people range from IT technicians, 25 odd IT technicians, project managers, salespeople, HR people, all sort of accounts, administration, lots and lots of variety in terms of what our teams look like. And we predominantly work these days in government and businesses, where when we started out predominantly doing retail consumer stuff. So as we've grown up as a business, I've had a lot of growing up to do as well. And similar to what Alana mentioned, I've had a lot of amazing mentors that have dragged me kicking and screaming along the way as well. So, probably the key thing for me is knowing that I wasn't ready. The business didn't grow to where it was until I was ready to take that leadership and own it. And I think a lot of people feel like that in their career. They don't get promoted until they're ready. And when it's easy to look back and see that, it's really hard when you're in the moment going, why can't I get this job, or why can't I get promoted? And then when you step into that, you realize that you weren't ready for it, which again, it can play out both ways. But in general, super passionate about people, not super passionate about technology. So if you're looking for someone really smart on tech, please don't ask me, but I do hire a lot of people who could answer those technical questions. And I suppose a few things, from in terms of building fantastic teams, diversity is not a tick box. If you're not running a diverse team, you're missing the mark, and in my case, probably losing money. So diversity is super important in tech, in every business, in every team. And also generationally, like we tend to, no matter what generation you're at, we tend to sort of look down on the next generation and go, oh, they spend too much time on their phone or whatever it is that they're doing. And, that's where our current workforce is at, and that's where our affordable employees are. So if you're not doing that, you're also missing the mark. So yeah, a lot of lessons learned there, but again, happy to be here. I appreciate the opportunity and happy to answer any questions you've got me.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And Nathumi, could you tell us a little bit about your career journey so far? Ooh, can you hear us okay, Nathumi? It looks like it's all frozen. Ooh, that's okay. What we might do is we might kick off and then we'll come back. Are you there, Nathumi? Can you come off mute? That's okay. So we're going to kick off the presentation, and then we'll touch base with Nasumi when she's back online. The way we're going to run this session, if you've dialed into a few of these now, I'm going to kind of fire off a bunch of questions at our two panelists, get their thoughts, and share their experiences, and then there'll be an opportunity for Q&A at the end. So feel free to pop your questions in that Q&A function, and we'll kind of sprinkle them throughout the presentation as well. This topic's quite an interesting one. Previously, we've done like resumes and LinkedIn, where it's like, there's often a kind of structure to follow. This presentation is going to be very much, based on people's experiences. We're in a safe place. We're going to share stories. We're going to be maybe vulnerable at times. So do know that this is based off people's experiences as well. So you might have a different opinion, different experience, and different ideas around this topic, and that's completely okay. But we're going to navigate it from here. So we've got a few different phases that we're going to cover. We're going to kick off with the first one. What does confidence look like in the workplace? So Jeff, what does professional confidence mean to you, and how has your understanding of it evolved throughout your career?
Yeah, I guess I'm a little bit different in the sense that I am very comfortable in who I am in my own skin, and for reference, that for me, I spent a number of years early in my career trying to be much more professional than I really am as a person. So if you probably can't see, I'm quite heavily tattooed. I swear a lot. I'll do my best to contain it for you today, conscious that it's recorded. And I'm also very casual in how I present myself. This is what you're seeing me in now is the uniform, one of the few uniforms, but they're all black t-shirts and I only wear jeans. So for me, that was not the case 10 years ago. I used to wear nice, fancy button-up shirts and make sure I looked very presentable, but it was not the true version of myself. So we only have 3 company values at Queensland Computers, and one of those company values is we have integrity. And within that company value, we sort of set the standard that we want you to be yourself day one when you rock up at our workplace. And The reason for that is that it's probably been learnt from my personal experience when I'm either myself and I can be 100% authentic and bring the true self to that, or I'm a shit version of someone else. And when you're not yourself, unfortunately, that is what you are, because there's someone else who is that version of them, and you're not going to be the best version of that. So for me, really, really important for that. And I guess, this is hard when we're giving advice because the truth is not every employer sees that in the workplace. So it's really, I guess this is a key piece of advice is you really need to find your people, and that's not so easily done. And the version of you bring to a job interview, if you are quirky, and I promise you I am, conscious that I don't have to interview for many jobs, but the version of you that you bring to yourself may not be a good fit for that workplace. But the advice I'd give you is that if it's not a good fit anyway, you're not going to stay there regardless. If you can't be yourself, you can't fake it for a year or 5 years or 10 years in a workplace you hate. So again, it's sort of, tying it back to what workplace confidence is. I think you just need to be who you are and know that that's not going to be everyone's cup of tea, and just accept that. And if it's not a good fit, it's not a good fit.
I definitely agree with that too. I think it's so important to be yourself because quite often that's how you fit within a team because you are yourself. You bring your weird and wonderful quirks along with you, and that's how you kind of better fit sometimes as well.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
Nasumi, if you are online, feel free to come off mute and join us as well. But we'll kind of kick on. So, Jeff, can you share a moment early in your career where you felt particularly uncertain about your abilities, and how did you navigate that back then?
Yeah, I think I'll go back to the technical bit. So I've sort of already covered that I'm a terrible tech. And when you're a small business, that's not really acceptable. You sort of have to be a Swiss Army knife. You're expected to be able to do every job really well. And again, I'm conscious there's people on this call who are significantly, and 20-year-olds might I add, who are significantly more capable than I am technically. And in IT, a lot of the time we get taught, particularly through university and schooling, we get taught that that's really critical to have those technical skills if you're working in industry. And I was never that good. I was always okay, but my superpower was that I could connect with people and explain all this really complicated stuff so they could understand it and make a really informed decision. So I think the realization that just because I wasn't a good tech didn't mean that I wasn't capable or valuable in the workplace was probably a key one for me. And the minute I stopped trying to do that, the minute I stopped sort of I'll quickly explain it another way. When you go to school, we rank you A, B, C, D, E, F. And what happens is if you get A's in 5 subjects and E in another subject, your teachers are going to say to you, listen, you're really struggling in maths. You're an E in maths. We need to get you up to at least a C or a B or whatever. And the reality is that's terrible life advice, but really good school advice. At school, your parents want to see a balanced report card and they want to see that you're an all-rounder that excels in a couple of areas. In real life, we don't actually care about that. What we care about is if you're terrible at maths, cool, don't get a job in engineering or don't get a job where you need a maths background. If you're a fantastic conversationalist and you're bad at maths, it really doesn't matter. So it's the skills that we use in parts of our life that we've been trained to. And again, for me, straight out of school, straight into a business. So 18 years old, I started that business.
Wow.
You're using all the knowledge you've gained up until that point, but no one's ever taught you that. And then as soon as I realized that, you know what, I'm a terrible tech. Do not ask me for tech advice. I'm not going to be able to help you, but I can help you with these things. Absolute game changer for me. And again, you feel rewarded because you're getting praise for the stuff that you know you're good at and you don't focus on the things you're struggling with.
I love that, like kind of understanding what your strengths are and understanding that you can't be good at everything. You can't be the best at every single thing. And I think really identifying that's brilliant.
I suppose the slight clarification there is if it's maths, it's quite acceptable. If it's that you're terrible at talking to people, that is probably not acceptable. And what I mean by that is in the world of AI, and you know, we let's not go down that rabbit hole because we'll spend an hour on it and you won't hear anything else. But in the world that we're in now, there are minimum requirements of what we expect of somebody in a workplace, and to be able to report in to your leader and know what you're doing and why, or to be able to talk to a customer if you're in a customer service role and be able to articulate what you're doing. It doesn't actually matter if you're the smartest person in the world if you can't communicate why you're smart and why you're valuable. So I would say that there is probably a subset of skills that is mandatory. And if you're not great, that's okay, as long as you're good enough. But there are some skills that really are not mandatory. And of course, you know, if you're not good at them, just don't do them.
Yeah, exactly. Wonderful. Well, I had questions for Nasumi about the student journey because it can be quite daunting being a student. And, you know, Nasumi's a wonderful international student as well. And I know we have a lot of international students online as well. So my question for her was like, what does confidence look like to her as a student? And I guess like, you know, I'll come from my perspective. I attend a lot of universities and present a lot. And it's amazing to see the range of people I get to meet and, you know, a lot of international people in their journey as well. And it can be nerve-wracking to approach somebody. It can be nerve-wracking to kind of put your hand up or, you know, ask a question and things too. So, you know, I guess like from a student perspective, you know, confidence to me when I'm doing those presentations, if somebody can put their hand up and ask me a question, I'm like, brilliant. I know that was nerve-wracking, you know, I know that was nervous, you know, to put yourself out there, all your peers and everything kind of seeing you put yourself out there. So it can be quite daunting as a student, but we're going to talk about some great practical things as well soon, where we can talk about how you can, you know, practice these skill sets to put yourself out there more in the future.
And Alana, just
yeah.
quickly on that, I mean, I think that the key thing what we're focusing on here is rejection, and you're going to get rejected. Like, this is just the truth of it. If you've applied for, and don't get me wrong, guys, I apply for board roles and get rejected. I go to client meetings and get rejected. Like, this doesn't stop. It's my company, but it doesn't stop. So we all get rejected. I think that the thing to realize is that it's either a win or it's a learn moment. So if you see everything in life as a win or learn, and if you haven't watched it, there's a really good TED talk by Jia Zheng called 100 Days of Rejection, where he literally goes out and asks people stupid shit requests 100 days in a row and gets rejected and rejected and rejected. But what he finds is he gets so good at it that he stops getting rejected, and he's asking things like, can I plant a plant in your garden? And people are like, yeah, go for it. And he's so used to getting rejected, he's just comfortable putting himself out there in these awkward spots. And it's really important to know that if you apply for a job and you stuff up an interview, like for me, I interview 10 people for every job because I'm looking for the secret sauce. I'm looking for someone who's special and unique. So I've got 50 staff. So at the very least, I've interviewed 500 people. The truth is I've probably sacked 100 over the last 10 years as well. So like thousands of people. I promise you, I don't remember the people that were not successful. So you think, oh, wow, I put my foot in it. I've done a terrible job. I didn't get the cut. It is just literally a footnote to those individuals. And so take the feedback, move on, try again.
Yeah. Oh gosh, yeah. Oh, there you are. Wonderful.
Something. And for me, confidence isn't all about feeling fearless. It's about taking actions, and even though we are nervous. And when often start with the small steps like talking, asking some question in classes and events, and also do some volunteering sessions. And over time, confidence build through consistency, and do you do, and the easier it is become over time. And I've learned I don't need to be perfect at everything at the beginning. We just need to be start, and we just need to be confident enough to start, and then eventually we will be perfect at the end. So, and also you need to be seek feedbacks from your surrounders and build supportive peers and mentors surrounded, and knowledgeable friends. They are so important when you are building a group friendship. And also treat mistakes as a learning opportunity. No, it's not a failure.
Definitely. Nathumi, could you please tell us a little bit about your career so far?
Yeah, actually, as you told all of them, I'm an international student. At first place I come here Actually, I have a fun story. At the beginning, I come here in my extension. I was late and new place and new environment. So it was become so hard. But at first place, even though we are so extrovert in our own country culture, but here we have different culture, different people, new start. So it's hard. Eventually, we are becoming so introvert because we don't know this culture. We don't know how to expose with people, but we need to learn and we need to start from somewhere. So I use uni as my place because we come to uni and we meet so many people, so many cultural people. We have different students in different cultures. So we can learn from everyone. And I joined some sessions, uni sessions, and then beyond the uni, I went to some communities and like ACS, BROPS. There are a lot of community when you start finding yourself, and you can learn so many things from those events once you go step out from the comfort out from your comfort zone. It will be so hard, but it's not very much harder. If you start to step up, you will be so open to new opportunities and you will learn how to be open up.
Awesome. Perfect. So we're going to go to the second phase and I'm going to fire off a bunch of questions. So we're going to start off with imposter syndrome. So imposter syndrome is incredibly common among students and new graduates, but also throughout people's career. Nathumi, what are some early signs you've observed and how can students recognize when they are experiencing imposter syndrome?
Yeah, when we talk about imposter syndrome, it's all about self-doubt. Can I do this? How can we start this? Am I good at this? I think everyone feels this way at first place, even for us, even for everyone. But the thing is, we need to overcome these situations. If you, as a student, international student, it's really important to speak up with everyone. And we need, as I told before, we need to find supportive mentor and supportive peers and they should like, everyone is perfect at some point. So we need to learn how to learn from everyone. What suits for you, you need to get it from them.
Brilliant. Yeah, I mean, imposter syndrome is a funny one. I have imposter syndrome all the time, and I'm 10 years or more into my career. I don't know if you necessarily lose it. For some people, at least for me, it sticks around. So, Jeff, when students feel like they're not qualified enough for a position they want, how can they reframe their thinking and approach and reframe their thinking and then approach applications with a bit more confidence?
Yeah, again, for context, and Lana knows me very well and you guys don't. So I will say I'm a bit of a hard ass when it comes to self-doubt. And what I mean by that is that if you, I'll give you a real live example. We said that this is a place of confidence and we're only sharing it within the ACS community. I had a recent interaction with one of my managers where we had a team goal and they said, I don't think I can hit the goal. And I said, well, it's time for you to leave. Because if you don't think you can hit it, you're not going to hit it. If you're, you know, in anything, and I don't mean that, again, that wasn't like you need to quit. It's just you either believe it or you need to leave, because you will not achieve something unless you believe you can do it. And that doesn't mean it's right every time. I think also perfection gets in the way of production. And so for us, if you think about it like, I had a client meeting today with a relatively large client, a few hundred seat organization, and I don't need to get it perfect. I just need to beat everyone else with that client meeting. As in, they're selecting from 3 people. I need to be the best of those people they select. So I'm not perfect. I can tell by the client meeting there were questions they wanted answered that I don't have answers for because we don't do it. And I think, again, going back to school, and this is not your fault. So if you're in this place, please blame someone else and move on. But we get told that you should be a high distinction student. You should get A's. If B is a pass and you only need a pass to finish, you would have heard the saying C's get degrees. If you only need a pass to finish and your goal is to finish, if your intention is I'm going to finish this with a pass mark, it's quite okay to get C's, because in business that means you're delivering the customer a satisfactory outcome with the aim to always get better, of course. We're not here to just half-ass things, but if it's a satisfactory outcome and it's good enough, I would much rather someone who spends 2 hours getting a C than 20 hours and gets an A, because I'm paying them by the hour. And I can tell you in the workplace, those extra 18 hours are much more expensive than the benefit I get between a C and an A.
Yeah, gosh,
Yeah.
definitely. And I guess like, oops, sorry, Nathimi.
Yeah, I'd like to add one example with myself. And actually, I had to face one surgery in this year at the first place. And actually, it was quite hard. It was quite difficult for me as an international student. And I was on the way of recovering, and I was 2 weeks late in my uni, and I need to start working and while I'm recovering. So I started getting imposter syndrome. Can I do it? Can I start? How can I start my work? And because I know I am late, then I thought, nah, I can't do it by myself for now. So I need help from someone. So in university we have counseling sessions. All of university students, it's free for everyone. It's not fear to be, you don't need to be fear to call counselor. It's not, you can go to talk to them. And actually I got some sessions from a counselor. Then eventually I start learning how to, I need to start my work to know how can I work. And I think everyone has a different timeline. So instead of comparing to everyone, just focus on yourself, focus on your pace. And then you realize certain places you fit in. So all of, at first you need to be a start.
Definitely. I mean, I see a therapist or counselor. I think it's a great one if you really struggle with that imposter syndrome and it's in your head and you can't shake it off. There is, talk to your friends, talk to your family. There can be a really good cheer squad, but there's therapists out there that can help as well and help you kind of learn to build up your confidence. I will just add when we talk about not being qualified enough for positions, do know that when you are coming out of university or TAFE or a college, you're not actually expected to know everything or have everything ticked off that list when those job applications as well. So do know that when you see a job application and if you, fit a couple of them or most of them, apply anyway because there's not that expectation that you know everything. But Jeff, what do you reckon about that one?
Yeah, I guess, and this is a really important topic, particularly with women in ICT. And this is not an IT thing. This is a employment thing. There's really good data, and I don't know who the study's released by, but Google it, you'll find it in 2 seconds, that shows that if a man's got 6 out of 8 qualifications, they'll apply because they're very confident that they'll get that job. And often you'll find that women in the same scenario won't, because they'll go, well, I can't do this, the seventh thing or the eighth thing. So it's really important to let us do our job as the people hiring you, and don't shortlist yourself out of a job. Just put your name in the hat. There is absolutely no harm, and just put it out there. I also think a lot of the time, if you're fresh out of uni, particularly if you're 20 something, by the way, you're young. If you're fresh out of uni and you're still 20 something, please put your other jobs on your resume, because I know that you think McDonald's or Hungry Jack's is not good experience. I hire people from McDonald's every day of the week because I know, let's be honest, guys, it is not a great job. We know that. Like, my son works at McDonald's, or he was up until very recently. But what I know is that it's hard and you're expected to rock up, shut your mouth, do the job, follow the process. It demonstrates that you're willing to have a bit of grind and get through it. It demonstrates you can follow process. Super, super valuable. The same if you've got study in other realms. If you've got a degree in accounting and now you've decided to go into IT, please put your degree in there, because you'd be surprised what I'm looking for on a resume, and it's not all technical skills.
100%. My little motto is if you survive retail, you can survive anything because you do learn a lot in those roles. Nathumi, so a number of students don't like having their photos taken. It kind of breaks my heart because I've seen this at quite a few events lately where I've got a student come up to me and be like, let's connect on LinkedIn. I'm like, great. And then I'll be like, you don't have a photo. Why not? And they're like, oh, I don't like photos, or, I'm shy. How important is it to have a photo on your LinkedIn?
Actually, a photo makes your profile more approachable and trustworthy. Actually, I will bring it with you an example. I have a quite funny story about this. Actually, I am doing some extracurricular works at uni, so I am meeting daily recruiters in uni and quite often. So one day I met one recruiter out of uni, and she came to me and say, "Hi, hello, how are you?" But then she was frozen and looking at me, then said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot your name." And that's really important point. I think many of you have so many experiences like this. I think the point I'm trying to make here is like people are so busy and meet so many people every day, so they don't recognize you with your name at all because people are so busy, as I said. So LinkedIn photo, in like instead of a blank page, keeping a photo in your LinkedIn profile, it's really unique identity of yourself. So, and it's easiest and quick identity to people remind you in yourself. So I think it's really important to have a photo, and it's really easy to people to identify yourself. That's why
Yeah.
that's why you need to have a photo in your LinkedIn.
Definitely. From an industry perspective, Jasmine and I were having a little bit of a giggle earlier, is we meet hundreds, if not thousands of students in our roles. And so many they'll come up and be like, "Oh, I spoke to you the other day, remember me?" And you kind of stand there going, "Yes, I remember you." Or I've been talking to your LinkedIn. And it is that a photo is so important in being able to be like, "Great, yes, I do actually remember you." So definitely, it can be nerve-wracking, but I would really suggest really getting your friend, get some nice lighting and get those photos. We did a webinar a couple of months ago on LinkedIn and how to kind of build your profile and really take the opportunity to go watch that recording and get that photo on. Now we're going to move to our next phase. So positioning yourself confidently in the job hunting process. Jeff, many students undersell themselves in the application and interviews. How can they identify and articulate their value proposition even with limited professional experience? So a lot of our students on the call here of, doing their studies, they might have had a volunteer role in there, they might have got some experience in a uni club, or maybe they don't have any experience at all, but how can they kind of, come across that they still are going to be a great hire?
Yeah, I think probably the first thing is, as much as I said, if you've got 6 out of 8 things still apply, don't bullshit, because
Yeah.
we're not idiots. So if you've got on your LinkedIn profile that you're a experienced content creator with 4 years experience, blah blah blah, and then we look at your resume and it's not that, straight up, we're just going to throw it in the junk pile. To give you an idea, on a normal ad for a graduate position, I'd have 150 applications roughly. So graduate positions really important, or entry level, or look for those words if you've not got experience, because we won't hire you for a senior role. We just can't. It's too dangerous. It won't help you. Trust me, it'll just destroy your confidence. We speak confidence. It's not good for you. It's not good for us. So I'd be inclined to be looking out for all of those sort of tags that identify to you that, experience preferable but not necessary, those sort of things, because we always want experience if we can get it. It's worth noting. I think also, if you're, and this is hard because a lot of companies lie to you, big companies particularly. If you have core values, try to find an organization that shares your values and really bleed those values in your job interview, or in your letter of or your letter of application. It's I'm not hiring a 19, 20, 25-year-old because of your experience, I promise you. And particularly in IT, we hire in our organization under the Business Equipment Award, which means that your minimum wage is probably around that $60,000 mark. It's not 28 grand a year, 38 grand a year like it used to be, and it was.
It was not that long ago.
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago. So it is worth noting that if I'm hiring for someone who I can see something in that's a bit special, and that's probably human skills at this point, unless of course you're a technical guru. But again, you've got to be able to demonstrate that, because when I interview for a junior tech role, I'm looking for someone I can put in front of a customer. I'm not looking for an expert. So Yeah, it's tricky. I'm not a developer. If we had a developer on the call, a developer would say, "Show me something you've written and show me that it works, and send a link through to the organization that you're applying," and you get all sorts of different feedback. But for me, I want to see that you're a little bit different, a little bit special, because you got to stand out from 149 other applicants.
Definitely. And we've spoken a lot in this webinar series about the importance of those soft skills. And that's what you can really demonstrate in those interviews. If you don't have the big experiences and stuff, you can really kind of, showcase those soft skills as well. Nathumi, job searching often involves frequent rejection. And Jeff touched on this one a little bit earlier as well. But what mindset shifts can students help view rejection as just part of the process rather than reflection on their own self-worth?
Actually, being an international student means you already have something incredibly brave because you moved whole new life in another different country and which fresh start. So that takes so much adaptability and resilience and the ability to communicate with each other. I think you also bring unique perspective shaped your cultural background and which can make teamwork, and also inclusively you can bring creative ideas in your workplace. As an employer, I think it's really a valuable ability to bridge cultural gaps and also balance multiple responsibilities with contributing cultural ideas, and it gives you plenty real life experiences.
Brilliant. Definitely. It's just unfortunately part of the process at the moment. The market is very tough. It's a really tough market for students and graduates at the moment. So I think job rejection just comes with it. So, like Nathumi said, reflect on yourself. If you've moved country and you've come to Australia to start a new life, I mean, I don't have the guts to do that. I think it's quite brave. It's quite, be proud of that. Be proud of that and really hold it high. You may get rejection. I know some students who applied for 2, 3, 4, 500 jobs, which is heartbreaking, but unfortunately, it's just what the market is at the moment. I promise you, 5 years in the future, you're going to look back and go, wow, that was a tough time, but look where I am today. I pursued and got through it. Jeff, do you have any kind of tips on that mindset shift for students as well when it comes to getting a lot of those rejections and getting beaten down?
Yeah, I mean, you're going to get beaten down. And again, going back to that, how we hire and how we shortlist. A lot of people only shortlist a handful of people, 2, 3, 4 people. Again, in our organisation, we try to shortlist to about 10 because we are looking for something special. That's not necessarily the case in most organisations. I think, to build on what Nathumi was just saying, one of the things I always look for is I want some mongrel. I want to know that you're tenacious. I want to know that you're stubborn and that you're going to push through. You did say it's hard to differentiate yourself and the market's a bit tight. Going back to generationally, particularly Aussie kids were born into probably the best set of circumstances that has happened in the last 200 years. And like that includes me. I'm not Aussie. I'm 50% Lithuanian and 50% from Belgium, but it's still close enough. And my kids, as an example, I've got a 19-year-old. They've had so much privilege that it's often they aren't robust. They can't handle the rejection. They can't handle the challenge that comes with it. So if you have these stories, if you have these, hey, in my life, I've had to deal with this, and not to become a martyr because you don't want to be a martyr. You want this person to see you as powerful and strong and capable, but just say, I've had shit situations and I pushed through them and look where I am now. I think that's really important. It's your responsibility to demonstrate it and set yourself apart.
Definitely. I think job rejection is interesting as well. I know when I first came out of uni, they were like, you're going to come out of here, you're going to earn this much money and it's going to be great and it's going to be easy. And I come out being like, easy, done. I'm going to just cruise in. It wasn't the case at all. And it did take a couple of rejections to be like, something's not adding up here. So I do think there's an opportunity as well to self-reflect and not self-reflect on yourself, but just your mindset of like, okay, maybe I'll go to some events, talk to some people, understand the market more and kind of better prepare and reflect on my resume and stuff as well. But Jeff, when students consider reaching out directly to a hiring manager, so they've applied for the job and they're kind of like, I really want to make sure they've received it or, make an impression. When students do consider reaching out directly to that hiring manager or employees at that company that they're interested in, how can they do this confidently without coming through as a pest or
Yeah,
just too much?
it's almost you almost have to be a little bit of a stalker to do this well. You sort of need to suss out the hiring manager and see what they're into. And what I mean by that is that if they're a big company and they're literally seeing you as a number, you're going to just be a pest. And to be honest, it may actually be detrimental to your prospects with that role. It's also really important that you're reaching out to the right person. So to give you an idea, I always do second and third interviews, but I don't do first interviews at my company. So if you didn't get shortlisted a first interview and you contact me, I can't help you. Generally, that's the case for most organizations that aren't 5 or 10 people. So I think it is really important. If I were looking for a job today in this market, I would be using video resumes because it gives you the opportunity to show them the real version of you without you having to get a meeting or an interview. And short and concise, 3 minutes. Hey, this is me. I'm blah, blah, blah. Super passionate about this. Having said that, at this point, I'm really looking for any entry level into the industry. I will work my butt off. Like if it were Jeff, maybe that's not the appropriate language for you, but that'd be me. That'd be me. I'd be like, listen, you're not going to regret hiring me. I don't have all the skills, but I am as tenacious as they get. I promise you, this will be a good outcome for you. I think that's really important. I also think looking at a lot of, and I work with a lot of young people, and again, conscious of this audience, not necessarily saying that's you, but I work with people from grade 10 through to 30 probably is my most common cohort. People are looking for just the right job. And it's really hard to get just the right job as your first job. It just doesn't work. So my advice is, even if it's industry adjacent, even if it's not tech, even if it's a job in a call center, but it's not tech, or a job in a customer service role, because again, going back to what Alana was just saying, I've got people, the amount of baristas I hire is profound because I want you to be able to have a conversation with that person while you're making their coffee. And if you have that skill, you're going to be great on a help desk. All sorts of those sort of similar skills. So I think it's really important.
Wonderful. Now, just a reminder, if you do have questions, definitely pop them in the Q&A chat, and we'll get to them shortly as well. I'm going to skip a little bit to some practical tips. So, Nathumi, and this kind of actually goes on from what Jeff was saying as well. We're going to start talking about networking and kind of practicing this stuff in person as well. So, Nathumi, how important is networking for building confidence, and what advice would you give to introverted students who find networking challenging?
Actually, networking is really important as international students because here we don't have anyone is not giving us, here is your job, but you have to find it out. I think it can be an opportunity and also build your confidence also. And everyone has a different timeline. So if you fail for something, you can take that opportunity as a not as your weakness, but as your opportunity to learn something and try something different. And you can start small, like 1-2 quality conversations, like not much, but also you can prepare self-introduction with common questions. And also you can build your career goals, hobbies, and also common grounds. And also the most important thing I saw is like update your LinkedIn profile, maintain your LinkedIn profile perfectly, and connect with people who can support you, you can learn from them. And also attend some small but casual events like some communities like ACS. There are so many communities you can join and do volunteering, do communicate, do network with people, learn something. Actually, there's one sentence I've thinking from my beginning. Actually, I was also an introvert person at my first place. I went events and sessions as an audience. Then I started volunteering. Then eventually we start building our confidence. But my first place, I thought in my first session, I didn't know what should I do and what is the purpose. But in my second event, I thought, okay, I if I build some gold, I can be great. It will be great for me. So I thought, okay, from my next event, I will uh, be, build connection with one person who can learn from something, and also I learn one thing from one each thing from a session. So that was my goal. So from that to here, I built a lot of connection and I learned so many things from each events. I think that will be a great idea for everyone as an international student from beginning.
Yeah, I think it's a good tip to any student really, regardless if you're, introverted or if you're, on the spectrum or anything and you find networking really quite scary or intimidating. I think that's a good takeaway is just set one goal. If it's just one new connection that you've added on LinkedIn that you spoke to at the event, I think that's a success, Start small and you can build it up and it could be a really good way to kind of build up that confidence and excitement for these type of networking events as well. I will put it out there when it comes to the job market at the moment. Stats come out recently that 80% of jobs are actually connected through your network rather than what's on Seek. So that's huge. That's massive. And it is true. I quite often get our, corporate members will reach out to me and go, Alana, do you have someone you'd recommend? And, we had an event not long ago where the presenter put some questions out to the audience and some of our students were answering them, putting their questions up. And when it comes to the networking, he was surrounded by people. They're all eager to talk to him. And he spotted one of the students who put her hand up and asked a question. And he just went, you answered my question. And she said, yeah. And he goes, I would like to talk to you about offering you a job. Now she was stood there going, what? And I was just like, say yes, say yes, say yes. But that's the amazing kind of, connections and interactions you can have at events. But Jeff, from your perspective, when you are meeting a student or somebody new for the first time at an event, as an industry representative, how should someone introduce themselves to you to come across as confident from your perspective?
Yeah, I think, and just to clarify, networking is never not important. I network, if you go and have a look on my LinkedIn and have a look at my last 10 posts, and that's 1 week's worth of networking for me. And I don't post everything. I do a lot of things that don't get posted. So it's never going to stop. So if you hate it, get good at hating it, because you're going to keep doing it if you want progress. I think the other key thing to do with networking is if you're only practicing at IT events and there's only 6 a year, you only get 6 opportunities to fuck it up. So my advice is go sign up to a free networking event on 10 other platforms in different industries and go meet people and practice on their environments. There's nothing wrong with practicing in another person's environment. And you never know, you might meet someone special or get offered a great opportunity too. But it's okay to make mistakes and to learn. I think in general there's the confidence for me comes into if you don't know what you want, there's no way I'm going to know what you want. So it's about not being so transactional that you're only here because you want the outcome, but also coming up to me and say, hey, my name's Jeff. I'm a fresh graduate. I'm looking for my first role within IT. To be honest, I'm pretty much up for anything. I'm just looking to get a start. Have you got any positions available? Because if you are going to say, hey, I'm Jeff, and that's it. I don't know that you're looking for work. I don't know that you're employed or not employed. I don't know that you got a wealthy parent and you're happy just riding out the gravy train of university. I don't know your circumstance. So unless you share with me, I just cannot help you. And 9 times out of 10, and again, you can, well, Alana probably knows because we talk about emerging professionals. There's a lot of people I get jobs for that are not within my company. And I have no interest in being a recruiter. But just because we have a network of people, so I'll meet someone and go, you're special, but I don't have a spot for you right now. And we'll email out a few people and we find them a position within our community. So it is, we need to know, and again, please, 50% of my workforce is neurodiverse. I'd say a large proportion of my workforce is introverted. These things are not excuses. It's a thing. I get it. I understand. And you can tell straight away that I'm not an introvert. You cannot use it as an excuse. You need to say, this is who I am, and I'm happy with myself, and you should be happy with me too. And I'm looking for an opportunity, because you can feel sorry for yourself all day. It's not going to get you a job.
Yeah,
That's 100% it.
I would like to add something, and also say yes to activities. When you get opportunity, don't say no because of the fearness. If you will be eventually missing those opportunities if you say no to those. And also be curious, ask why and how, and be keen to learn. I think it's really great mindset to be growing, and you need to be step up from your comfort zone to be growing. If you feel comfortable in your place, you will not growing at all. You need to step all over your comfort zone.
Definitely. It's amazing what you can achieve when you push through that barrier and give it a go. We've had a really great question come through. Jeff, what do employers or hiring managers expect to see in terms of students' behavior at networking events? Like, what is the definitely do nots at a networking event when you're, looking for a job at the time?
Yeah, I think if it like there's a few clear ones. If a networking event's got alcohol, please don't get shit-faced drunk. It's not going to help you get a job with anyone, yet alone you won't learn anything because you won't even remember the event. But I think again, it's important to be true to who you are and bring that person to the networking event. And again, the people who are there there are I can give you so many examples because I'm the guy who asks the questions. I'm the guy who sends you the LinkedIn invite after events. And make no mistake, I'm exactly the same as you guys. I go to things where I'm so far out of my depth and I meet people and I'm like, oh my God, I need to connect with that person. And I message them and I get, 1 in 5 reply back and go, sure thing. Yes, I'd love you to buy me a coffee. And I'm like, yes. Like this doesn't stop. Like I said, it's the same in every part of your life, no matter what part of your journey you're at. But I have done that plenty of times where I've tracked someone down and said, I just heard you speak. It was exceptional. This is going to change how I look at things moving forward. And again, not bullshit. I'm not lying to them. They love that. People like that. Well, people like it when you see that what they've delivered. They're not there because they're getting paid. Generally, they're there because they're trying to help you. And when you help someone and walk away and feel good about it, they feel good, you feel good. So I think we just need to bring a genuine, authentic version of yourself.
Definitely true. And they can pick up if it's not genuine as well. But if you can show that you were listening to something they've said or their presentation or anything, that's amazing that you'll only make the impression that you've made on them better. We've had some really great questions come through, so keep sending them through. Do either of you have any tips on getting past the one-way interview? So Jeff, you were talking about earlier about, that it'd be awesome if you can get that video interview or resume approach. But do you have any tips on getting past that one-way interview, the pre-recorded one, when it comes to confidence?
I hate one-way interviews and I think they shouldn't be used. And so I probably don't have any first-hand experience with it. So it potentially is an Athumi question, but I just think, again, resumes and shortlisting, yes, technically you could see it as a one-way interview, but I really do think it lacks personal touch. So I don't like it. And again, maybe that's a representation of the company you're trying to apply for, and maybe they're not a good fit for you.
Yeah, those video recordings can be tricky. I think, I would definitely write down some, key points or key stories you want to share. So that way when you are doing it, because I remember doing one, it was timed and you could only do it twice. So it's quite a lot of pressure, but write down your key points or key stories you want to share. And that way, hopefully it'll support you in coming across a bit more confidently as well. How can I develop the self-assurance to communicate my ideas clearly and assertively in a professional environment? So Nathumi, have you had a situation where you're doing a uni assignment or with WinTech where you're like, I really want to kind of communicate my idea clearly and assertively? How have you done that?
Actually, when we work in uni background, we have to talk with people, we have to communicate with people. When we conduct any communities and associations, we are doing a lot of things like panel discussion and some events. So we need to connect with right people, right time, and communicate with them properly, and need to tell what our needs and to get a proper outcome.
Definitely. I think based off my own experiences, like I've had to learn how to, communicate what I'm trying to say professionally. I remember my first manager, I would write, and I was someone who would waffle and keep going, and my email would probably be 5 paragraphs long before I've tried to get my idea or my comment across. And I got some really like good feedback from that manager at the time that was like, you need to work on your communication skills, do a short course, practice and bringing that down. And it's really kind of stuck with me, that feedback early on. So I think it's good to ask for feedback in those professional environments as well, because you can only kind of get better as you go along too. We've got a question, probably a little bit off track a little bit, but when a job is posted, is it better to apply right away or wait until closer to the application deadline? Some companies hire quickly and close the posting earlier, while others wait until the deadline to choose the best candidate. Jeff, do you have any insights into that one, or no pressure?
Yeah, I've got strong views on this one, so please bear in mind that these are the views and opinions of Jeff Agoudis and do not represent the views and opinions of Queensland Computers, although they kind of do because I get to hire people. I am looking for someone now. If I put a job, we are terrible, all companies, whether you are a big company or a small company, we do not advertise for jobs until we need someone. And I can tell you 9 out of 10 jobs I hire in the first week. So if you're looking at a job on a Seek profile that's 27 days in, there's a good chance they've hired or they're interviewing. We are looking for someone. And to be honest, I don't even put an ad on Seek until I've called Alana and 10 other people like her and said, can you please help me? I'm looking for someone. So my advice is get in ASAP, set alerts on Seek so that when a job is posted, you get notified the day it gets posted and upload your resume straight away. Because once I've got 3 or 4 people on my shortlist and they all look good, I stop thinking about it. Like the priority, even a HR manager, what you guys are thinking a lot of the time is their job is to hire. Their job is to deal with bullying. They're dealing with harassment in the workplace. They're training staff. They're dealing with onboardings and offboardings. Hiring is like a tiny little part of their job. So they move on once they find someone. So yeah, my advice is get in there straight away. Yes, there are companies that do wait till the job ads close. Normally they're government organisations and they have to.
Yeah. I definitely agree as well. I think when I've hired for roles over the years, it's like I'll watch the first few trickle through that HR have put through. And if I've got, a few key winners there, then I'm like, oh, yep, sweet, we're good. So I definitely think jump onto it when you see it, and give it a go. We are slowly running out of time, which is wonderful. So just a couple of kind of takeaway questions for you both. So looking back at your journey, Nathumi, from student to early career professional where you are now, what would you tell your younger self about building confidence?
Actually, the thing is like you don't need to be perfect at your first place. At first place, everyone will be so working hard to be perfect, but it's not true. Actually, you don't need to be perfect at the first place. Eventually, once you start, you need to be confident enough to start at the first place. Then eventually you will be great at the end. For sure.
Yeah, wonderful. And Jeff, what would you tell that 18-year-old that was about to start their first business? Did he question himself? Not that.
I think, there's a couple of things. Firstly, it's really important to know that most people in this community do want to help you. And that doesn't mean you don't get people on a good or a bad day. Of course, that's going to happen. We're all human. But generally, you can ask for help, and that's quite okay. I also think it's much easier if you come to someone and ask them if they can help you rather than give me a job or give me something. It does come across as quite transactional. So, guys, I can tell you 20 times a week someone emails me and says, have you got any jobs? And it's fine. I'm not upset with it, but I'm much less likely to reply to that person than if someone emails me and says, hey, I'm struggling to get a job in the IT industry. You obviously are a senior figure and you know a lot of people. Can I buy you a coffee to discuss it with you? That's much more likely to be something I would say yes to, because I don't have any jobs. No, I don't. Sorry. Versus, hey, let me meet you. And if you're special, I'll vouch for you. And again, if you can find your advocate, and I hope you're all special in one way or another. I just don't know you well enough to know why. And this is not some bullshit comment about we're all unique and you need to lean into it, but there is something you're better at than everyone else on this call. And I don't know what it is. If you can find your advocate who you can demonstrate that to, who is senior or does have experience in the industry, they'll get you a job.
And also, I have something to add. And this is some quotation I got from one event. If you ask for a job, you will get an advice. If you ask for an advice, definitely you will get a job. Be curious, ask questions. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, brilliant. I think my little 2 cents with, and it's probably a little bit not so professional, but I would tell myself when I first started out to be more myself. I think when I started in the industry, I tried to dress a certain way, tried to, kind of hide away who I was a little bit. And it's probably only in the last few years I've kind of recognized that that's my superpower. So if you've got a funny fringe that people, might comment on, but for me, people remember me because of it. If you like to dress a certain way, obviously in the workplace, you keep it professional, but if you like to, I don't know, have pink hair, if your workplace is cool with it, do it. Be you, because I think that's where you kind of draw confidence from as well. Alrighty, so we'll wrap it up. Jeff, what's your last little piece of advice? What's the key takeaway? What's one thing?
I did actually mention in the chat, you need to spend more time in the practice zone and less time in the performance zone. Really important. You can't go to just job interviews as your practice. You need to do other things that are practice so that when you go for that job interview, you've had experience bailing.
Wonderful. That's such a great takeaway. And Nathumi, what's your tiny little bit of advice that you'd leave people on with today?
Yeah, as I told you, don't ask for a job, just study, just be curious, ask questions. You will be definitely you will be success.
Wonderful. Thank you both to our wonderful presenters for tonight. We really appreciate your time and efforts and insights into your careers and your experiences and everything. We really value your time. Thank you.
Thanks.
Wonderful. So we're going to run now through a couple of quick ACS ones we've got coming up. So please stick with us for just a moment. Jasmine would have shared the links in our group, but we welcome you to come join our ACS Emerging Professional Community groups. In these groups, we're promoting upcoming events, job opportunities, volunteer roles. When we talk about confidence, if you're nervous and you're going to your first event, pop it in the group and you can find out who else is attending as well. So a really great way to kind of build up your contacts. If you're interested in some upcoming events, now if you've got some QR codes coming up, so just know that these are included in the post-event email. So ACS Canberra are hosting their first EPC event from campus to career. So this will be on Thursday, the 28th of August. Again, we'll include these links in the post-event email, so don't stress if you miss it. We've got on the 15th of September, I'll be hosting a how to make the most out of your student membership. We're going to run through exactly what's included when you are a member, demo the website, see our MySophia tool. We're going to explore the Skillsoft tool, but you'll also get to hear from Lamo Ma, who's our operations manager of our professional year program as well. So great opportunity to ask us some great questions too. We've got a great coding masterclass happening. I believe it's happening in person in Sydney as well if you're in New South Wales. Otherwise, we'll be online. Turn your web server into an MCP server. So a great one to come along to. Our next Career Toolkit series will be in interview mastery. So we're going to tips and tricks for success when it comes to that interview. So a really great discussion for this one. And this one's at the end of September. If you're based in Queensland, we've got the EPC screw up stories. So when we talk about building up your confidence, we're going to have a panel of professionals just like Jeff, who are going to share when did they screw up, whenever they made a mistake in their career, and how did they learn from it? Was there a great learning from it? We're going to talk about resilience, or was it just purely that they made a mistake and then never do it ever again? So it's going to be a lighthearted, fun one, and that one's in September as well. Now, when it comes to Skillsoft, this is our online platform. It has over 35,000 short courses. Some great ones that are relate to today is there is some really good sessions on soft skills. So talking about how to have those difficult conversations in the workplace, how to find a mentor and more. But then you've also got a range of different tech specific ones. So If you are going to your first event and say it's an AI event and you don't know nothing about AI, you can jump on here, do a couple of short videos, and that way you've got a couple of speaking points to take along with you as well. And if you're not yet an ACS member, I would welcome you to come on board. If you are studying, you may qualify for our complimentary student membership. So just check out our website or contact us at acsstudent@acs.org.au. Or if you're a professional and you've joined us, we have our wonderful individual membership as well. So encourage you to join. Follow us along on social media, and thank you so much for joining us. We'd really appreciate it if you can complete the feedback survey. This series is nearly coming up to a year long, which is wonderful. So we're looking for our next topics for next year. So if you've got some ideas, send it through. But again, Nathumi and Jeff, thank you so much for joining us this evening. And yeah, we hope you have a wonderful evening.